Hope you guys are having a day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. I'm gonna give you guys a chance to come into the live stream. I'm gonna talk to you guys for a minute about something that I think is just reflective of of class and classlessness. Just what you do when you're when you have taste and when you don't have taste. And it's something that kind of got my attention a little bit because I think it speaks to kind of a broader agenda in terms of what we're up against in our society. I don't know if you guys know, but I assume you know. Comedian Kevin Hart was just in this terrible accident. He was in a terrible accident that nearly took his life. He's been getting all these surgeries, and I'm sitting here wondering if he's ever going to be able to really walk normal again. And I mean, so this was not a tiny accident. This was not something that he's going to just recover from instantly. This is something that has led to, a lot of speculation in terms of what was really going on, whether or not he's going to get better, all these things. And, and I couldn't help but this morning, I was just sort of browsing the internet and I saw where you had this interesting article from the Daily Beast, where they decided that this was a good time to accuse Kevin Hart of homophobia, right? To like literally the man the man is damn near on his deathbed. The man just had this car crash in which he may never recover, and you decide that that's the right time to attack him and accuse him of being homophobic. I think that this speaks a lot in terms of what we've been dealing with for years. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button real quick. And also shout out your city real quick. I'm going to let the rest of the tribe know that we're live. Let me see here. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so yeah, and actually I like to put it on Twitter. My Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins 1, by the way. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. Give me a second here. All right, so it was quite fascinating that they did kind of the usual suspect sort of thing. It's almost like when you see the liberal agenda and you see what they're trying to do in terms of shaping the minds of Black people, what their typical formula is. Their typical formula is, we're not going to attack you because we don't want to accuse of being the racist that we are. We're going to take a Black person and put that Black person on the platform and let them attack you. And then you won't, we assume that we're gonna do a Popeyes chicken on you, where you're gonna think that the person who's speaking is the one who's actually in power. You know how Popeyes had that Black lady. You remember that Black lady? I don't know if her name was Pearl or some shit, but she pretended to be the CEO of Popeye's Chicken. She was like, my chicken, my recipe, when I wake up in the morning and I makes the chicken, right? They did all of this to give you the impression that the Black lady was in control, when really, that's like going to see a puppet show and you really think the puppet is deciding what he wants to say. So a lot of white liberal publications, what they tend to do is they find these Black puppets. They find these folks that, will go up there and support their agenda and say whatever, whatever they want them, to say, and they pay them for that. And then they say, well, this is what Black people are saying. This is what Black people want. And a lot of regular Black people are sitting back and watching, like, wait a minute, like, we didn't say that. I didn't say that shit. Most of my friends ain't said that shit. So you're trying to create a false narrative. You're using the power of media, the white power of media. This is why I think Black-owned media is very, very important. And we are Black-owned media. So I hope that you'll understand that and appreciate that. But Black-owned media would probably be speaking a different narrative, but white-owned media likes to prop up Black faces and throw Black people out there and give the impression that this is what Black people are saying. So anyway, let me see, just so you know, I want to make sure I acknowledge some of you in here. I see Port St. Lucie, Florida, by way of Queens, New York. Says Sorrente, Black Crypto, what's going on? Miami here, Positive Vibes, Chicago, stand up. I'm actually going to the shot today. Me and Alicia are going to actually buy some rental property today. So I hope that you guys will look into investing. I'll be real transparent about what the deal is. The deal is real basic. It's real cool. Like you guys really, if you're not investing, I encourage you to look into it, maybe join a group, things like that. Because basically it's like this, right? You buy a property. Let's say that the, monthly mortgages and everything added in is like, $1,500, and you're renting it to somebody for $2,000. Well, basically the renter is paying the mortgage on the property. And then you're also gaining from the fact that the value of the property goes up over time. It's a real easy game. It's like rinse and repeat, plug and play, type stuff. So this is, if you want to know where people like Donald Trump come from, how they get so much money, it's because they play that game. So I want you guys to play that same game. So I'll keep you guys posted on my journey. Also, in the Black Business School, we actually have a really great program taught by Julian Gordon, who's a real estate expert who owns $3.5 million worth of property, or he controls that property, and he's on his way to owning it all. He's financed it, of course, but some of it's owned, some of it's. But either way, though, Julian is teaching people how to acquire rental property. So look into that. I think that's a really good move. We're going to go actually buy some stuff today. I'll tell you guys about it. If you want to follow our journey, just look up the hashtag Boyce and Alicia. Alicia's the beautiful Black woman I'm going to marry. And I put us out there because I want you guys to be able to benefit from that journey. So anyway, let me hop in here again. Okay, Ronald says, thank you for the info. Ronald, you're like a safe man. So you know what I'm gonna do, Ronald? I need a moderator up in this mug. So I'm gonna add you in as a moderator. So if you see a troll rolling through, man, please just shoot the trolls in the head. Not really, just digitally speaking. Just drop their asses and get them the hell up out of here. Don't shoot anybody in the head. I want to repeat that. I do not condone violence. So I'm just kidding. But either way, though, just take them out for me if you don't mind. All right. So here's the deal. All right. So I'm reading this article. This article basically on the Daily Beast is one where effectively the Daily Beast has decided that, right now this is the time to go after Dave Chappelle and Kevin Hart for allegedly being homophobic. Now, here's the deal. I don't believe that Dave Chappelle and Kevin Hart are homophobic, because if you just even look at that term homophobia, a phobia is a fear. Like let's look up the term phobia. Let's just look this up. Phobia definition. Okay. Phobia is this, and I want you to ask me if you understand this. Okay. An extreme or irrational fear or aversion to something. Irrational fear or aversion to something. Now we can look up the word aversion. Let's see what that technical. A strong dislike or disinclination. Okay, strong dislike. Okay. What's interesting is, if you think of phobia in terms of fear, yes or no? Yes or no? Do you fear people based on who they're having sex with, other than children? Like if somebody's sleeping with children or they're raping people, then yeah, there's a reason to fear that, right? But if somebody ain't raping nobody and ain't nobody trying to have sex with your kids or nothing, or sex with your woman, do you fear that person? Yes or no? Yes or no? Give me a yes or no. Do you have a fear? Do you wake up? I hope I don't run into a gay person today, because I just will be so scared. It's like they're holding a gun and they're going to, blow my brains out. Do you have a fear? Okay. So the fear's not there. Now, the only piece of that definition that I think could apply perhaps is the word aversion. Aversion is a strong dislike or disinclination. Now, here's the thing, right? Some would argue that you have a right to like or dislike whatever you want. You have a right to agree or disagree with whatever you want. Do you agree that we have a right to agree or disagree with things, based on how we feel? Do we have a right, yes or no, in this country to agree with something or disagree with something? Are we supposed to have that right? Is that something that we're supposed to have? Yes, right? So we have the right to agree or disagree with things, right? That's supposed to be a fundamental right. Like, Sharon, I see you, and Cassie, if you like the color red and I don't like red, and you say, I love red, I can say, well, I disagree. I like green, right? It's my right to do that, right? So I need to ask you this question. How do we get to the point where simply disagreeing with something means that you somehow have an irrational fear or phobia, or that you're discriminating, you're a bigot, or you're oppressing them? How are you oppressing me when you disagree with me? Or maybe process this for a minute. Think about this. Maybe I'm oppressing you. Maybe I'm oppressing you. So King Green, Brian Fellows. So I come to you and I say, Brian, I think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl this year, and you say, I disagree. I think the Green Bay Packers have a better team. And I say, well, Ken, you're oppressing me. You're discriminating. You're voiceophobic. And you say, well, what do you mean? I say, well, because I just told you that I am a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, and you're supposed to tell me that that's a good thing, that that's the right thing, that you're supposed to cheer for me. You're supposed to cheer for the Cowboys too. And you say, but no, boys, I don't like the Cowboys. I like the Packers. Well, Ken, are discriminating, and I'm going to report you, and I'm going to sue you because you, sir, are oppressive. You are more oppressive than the slave masters were in 1685. It sounds dumb, right? It sounds crazy, right? And what's interesting, if you look at what Kevin Hart said, what they're really giving Kevin Hart shit for now is he was on LeBron show, the shop or whatever it's called, right? Where they're doing the barbershop stuff. And I like the show, by the way. I like the idea of black men having an independent voice because they're not used to that. They're not used to black men speaking without having the puppet master's hand up their ass. Like if you read the Daily Beast or the Atlantic or a lot of these liberal publications or the Root, you're really seeing puppetry. You're seeing black men with a hand up their ass. Some of them want the hand up their ass. Who knows? And the puppet master's like black people are homophobic, and the Negro's like black people are homophobic, and everybody's like, oh, this is what black people are saying. No, that's what the puppet master is saying, because if they don't say, then they're going to be fired from that job, right? You look at sites like Very Smart Brothers, owned by the Root, which is owned by white people. You really see the agenda very clearly. And what I'm just trying to do is I'm just trying to tell you how the game is played. So you have to understand how game works in America, right? The game is not usually won by the best player. That's not true. It's a rigged game. The game is won by the people who design the damn game, right? So the designer of the system. Anybody, I don't know if anybody ever played Dungeons and Dragons when you were a kid. Maybe I'm the only nerd in the room, or maybe you've heard of the game. But in the game Dungeons and Dragons, you have the players in the game, and then you have the person that's called the Dungeon Master. The Dungeon Master is almost like God. They can decide if a dragon is going to attack you or if it's going to be a fairy. They can decide if you're going to run into mountains or if you're going to run into flat terrain. They can decide if you're going to have food or if you're going to die of starvation, right? So white people for you are kind of like your dungeon master. They shape these systems. They create these platforms. They create these spaces like the Daily Beast. And then they say, everything's fair. Everything's equitable. May the best man win. And so your black ass jumps into these systems thinking that if I do my best, by golly, and I work hard, I can win the game too. And then somehow you get to the end and you're exhausted and you busted your ass and you find that the white man's winning 185-3. And you're like, damn, how did that happen? I worked hard, just as hard as him. And the white man's like, well, I'm sorry, Tyrone. I guess it's just because I'm smarter than you. And really, you don't understand. The reason he wins the game is because he designed the damn game. You see, so sometimes winning the game ain't about competing in the game. Sometimes it's about saying, I'm not playing that game. I'm not playing this game with y'all. Seriously, that's why I tell black people the best thing you can learn in this generation to empower yourself for the next generation is to create your own systems. Get out of their systems, get out of their game. Like the corporate America game, like that's a system designed by them, designed so they can win, designed so their children will win. So I tell them, look, I'm not playing your motherfucking game. I'm not playing that game. I'm just not. Like people ask me, well, is the Black Business School accredited? No, I don't want it to be accredited. We issue accreditation. I'm not playing that game. I'm designing the game. We're the dungeon master of the game. So if you want to get accredited under our system based on the power of wealth and blackness and developing wealth building strategies for the black community for the next generation and beyond, then I'll let you play that game with me. But I got to be the dungeon master. Our people got to design the stadium. We get to make the rules. We get to be the referees. We get to decide who's going to be in the stands. We get to decide how high the basket is. We get to decide how points are scored. You're not doing that. I'm not playing that game with you. Right. And that's a strategy I learned. I'm actually, when you're a mathematician, you're pretty good at strategy. Like mathematics, gives you a strategic mind. I happen to be, believe it or not, a really good poker player. I don't know if anybody's ever played poker before. I like poker not because I like gambling. Gambling is a very bad financial habit, so do not get heavy into gambling. It's a good way to go broke. But I play these $2 poker tournaments online, and there'll be hundreds of people, and I've won. I've literally played in tournaments with 1,000 people and got first place. Like, and you do that by having strategy, being strategic, knowing how to position yourself, knowing how to make the right moves, knowing how to send the right signals, knowing how to obtain information, and knowing how to release the wrong information or release no information at all. Like, you learn a lot of things that allow you to then be able to go in and dominate other people if that's something that you choose to do, right? Or, and one of the things I've learned in that, in that experience is that sometimes when you are being asked to play a game, don't try to win the game. Your first question should always be, should I even be playing this game with you in the first place? Should I even engage you? And in fact, actually, believe it or not, in the game of poker, sometimes the best move to make most of the time is to not make a move at all, right? So my point is to say that when you look at the Daily Beast and you look at the Root, you're seeing a game being played. You're seeing a game that is rigged against you, white media rigged against you, white corporate America rigged against you, white academia rigged against you, the public school system rigged against you, all politics, Democrat, Republican politics rigged against you. So I'm not telling you not what to do and what not to do. I'm just telling you that it's okay to say, I'm just choosing to disengage with you, right? So anyway, please hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button, share and subscribe button. Also, just a reminder to you guys, this is blagenough.com. That's our, speaking of not playing the game, Facebook plays this game where they love to ban black people. They ban Farrakhan. They ban lots of black people who are too radical. So we created our own Facebook space that's just like Facebook, except it's black. We run it. We make the rules. It's called blagenough, blagenough.com. And it's a word that we trademarked. I have the trademark copyright papers right in my desk for the word blagenough. It's our word. It's our business, our brand, our company. So feel free to join blagenough.com if you'd like to join social media platform where you're not going to get banned for anything. Also, don't forget this week or this month, we got 3 events. I'm going to be in Louisville, Kentucky on the 14th, next Saturday at the Diverse Entrepreneurship Summit. The All Black National Convention is September 27th, and also the New York Financial Juneteenth Investment Summit, a pop-up black business school is going to happen in New York. It's going to be massive. It's going to be right there on 5th Avenue. So go to drboyceseminars.com if you'd like to learn more. That's drboyceseminars.com. And thank you, Yolanda, for the congratulations. I appreciate it. I did not know that 300 and something thousand people watched that proposal, but if that inspires some black people to remind us how beautiful black women are and how important black love is and how important it is to shout out your love for black women in public, then I'm willing to go ahead and look like Boo Boo the Fool, because I broke out in tears. I love that woman so much. She actually even brought tears to my eyes. So let's move on. Here's the deal. Okay, so in terms of Kevin Hart and this whole thing with Dave Chappelle and the Daily Beast, what this also makes me think about, does anybody remember this? Yes or no? Tell me if you remember this. Do you remember when Frances Cress Welsing died and you had Negroes out here where the first thing they said was, well, she was homophobic. She was homophobic, right? And many of them were writing, on platforms given to them by white people, or they'd actually achieved their fame, from white folks. Like, white liberals had embraced them and made them, into whatever they were. So because they feel like they are somebody. Yeah, yeah, you said the name G Boot. I don't call him that, but you know what I'm talking about. And I thought that was kind of it doesn't mean you don't have a right to have your opinion, because again, I told you people have the right to disagree. So but that also means, like, if I have the right to disagree with you, you have the right to disagree with me. So when you talk about, say, Mark Lamont Hill, who I don't dislike, Mark, by the way, Mark and I don't agree on a lot of things, but Mark disagrees with me. I disagree with him. And he has the right to do that, right? But I think that there's something to be said about taste. There's something to be said about class. There's something to be said about dignity. When you go out of your way to undermine the dignity of another person, and you say you're doing it in the name of fighting against your own oppression, the question you must ask yourself is, have you gone from oppressee to oppressor, right? Have you gone from being part of the oppressed to becoming one of the oppressors? Have you gone from being victim to becoming bully? And I'd like to get a yes or no from you guys on this. Do you ever get a sense that the alphabet boys have become bullies in our society? Do you feel that maybe in the Obama administration, the Obama presidency, when Newsweek, I don't know if y'all remember this, y'all remember when Newsweek named Obama the first gay president? And because he had done so much for the LGBT community, he had forgotten about, the black community at large. But it's like, the LGBT stuff got really big, and they basically named him the first gay president. I don't know if you remember that. Well, it's almost like at that point, certain people just got so bold. And I think that what I know happened was you saw, people being oppressed, like the Christian church. I know people that go to church ain't never hurt nobody. Yeah. Let me ask you this question: yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay, so the Christian church was being called homophobic, especially the black Christian church. They were being attacked relentlessly as a bunch of ignorant Neanderthals, backward, oppressive, discriminatory. And I want to ask you this: have you ever gone to church and ever heard the pastor say, "Let's go outside and let's go beat up a bunch of gay people"? Yes or no? Has anybody ever heard a pastor say, I think everybody who doesn't believe that marriage is between one man and one woman should just be beaten up and killed? Have you ever heard a pastor say something like that? A pastor at your church? Yes or no? No. Exactly. Okay. Have you ever gone to church and, seen the people in the church just, like find the gay people and just pull them to the side and say, "We hate you. We want you to go to hell. God does not love you, and neither do I." Right? People say God loves you and so do I. Like have you ever heard them say the opposite? God don't love you and neither do I, and you need to get up out of my church right now. You can't stay here because we not only do we not approve of this, but we deliberately and actively oppress you, and we wish that we can make you into slaves. Has that ever happened in your church? Have you ever been in a church where that's ever happened? I thought so. Okay, and here's a yes or no question. Has anybody else ever noticed from watching shows like BET Sunday's Best? Has anybody ever noticed that there is a wide amount of, shall we say, diversity in the sexual preferences in the black church? Has anybody noticed that there are plenty of people who are welcome to church every Sunday, who, look like maybe they ain't looking for Mrs. Right? You know what I'm talking about. I ain't trying to hate. I'm not trying to diss. I'm not trying to make this a negative thing. I'm not trying to make it. Have you ever noticed that you watch Sunday Best and you're like, if you ever announce to the church that you just got a new fiance, I'm gonna know that you lying, right? like if you ever try to bring a woman up in here and act like that's gonna be your wife, I won't believe you. Have you ever seen that, right? Because sometimes they do that, right? You see guys, come in talking about, "This is my fiance," and people like, "Yeah, right. We know who your fiance is, and it ain't her, right? Hopefully she knows too, right?" But just being real, right? I mean, it happens, right? And what I think black people have every right to think this way. It goes back to what Kevin Hart said on this show that has led to these, relentless attacks from the alphabet boys. Is Kevin basically, when he was on the barbershop show, Lil Nas X, the rapper, started talking about, being gay. And Kevin was like, "So what?" He was like, "So what?" He's like, my interpretation, when somebody says, "So what?" is to say, like, I don't really care what what you do in the bedroom. I don't really care. I don't really care, like, you go in your bedroom and, maybe you have sex with 4 midgets and a monkey and, or whatever. I don't care. Like, I really don't want to know, because think about it. I mean, Kevin Hart, didn't he get busted for that whole threesome thing where the guy videotaped it or whatever? The guy's now in court right now because he taped the threesome. So Kevin got, he's got his freaky side apparently. I don't know. I'm not judging. It is what it is, right? Sex is a very interesting and deep mystery. So we got some freaks up in this building right now. Some of y'all, y'all ain't never gonna admit it, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking to your soul right now. Now, so you ain't even gotta say nothing. I can peer inside your soul, Cassandra and Dwayne. I see what's going. I see the other side of you, right? But the point of the matter is to say that, I think what Kevin was saying is, I just don't care. Right? Somebody said, "You a freak, boys." You'll never know. Well, let me just say this. When I met Alicia, I liked her a whole lot more when I saw her walking up the steps in front of me. Let me just say that. That was when I said, "Oh, okay, so we got a woman here." Yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Jesus. All right, so moving on. So the point is to say that I think that there are people who just say, "I don't care what you do in the bedroom. I don't care. I don't, like, just don't ask me to approve of it. If I don't like it, if I don't agree with it, then I'm not going to agree with it." When you talk about, we talk about people that commit adultery. There are men and women who maybe believe like in open relationships. They don't believe monogamy is normal, right? There are people out there who make this argument. You can go Google it, right? Um, does that mean that that person needs to go to church and say, my sexual preference is polygamy, and I need you, not only do I need you to know, but I need you to approve of that. I need you to tell me that it's okay and that it's the same, that my love is the same as your love, right? That's a very what they call a normative statement. That's based on your value system. That's not really a true or an untrue statement, right? Depends on the beholder, right? But imagine it. Imagine if people said, I cheat on my wife, and I need you to tell me that that's okay. Can you please tell me that that's okay? Well, a lot of people be like, no, I'm not going to tell you that's okay. I'm not going to judge you. I just don't want to know. Just don't tell me, because I don't really want to know any of that, right? Or somebody says, I like to have threesomes, foursomes, and fivesomes, and sometimes I like to put my penis in a fire hydrant because I just think it's fun. I need you to tell me that that's okay. Tell me that that's a good thing. Tell me I'm just like you. I'm a good person, and that love is love no matter what. Well, a lot of people are going to say no. Like, no, I'm not going to approve of that, but I'm not going to stop you if that's what you want to do in your spare time. So I think that it's okay to go into what you might call the so what category. Kevin Hart said, when Lil Nas X talked about his sexual preference, Kevin Hart says, so what? And I think that that's okay to say, so what? Please feel free to type it in the chat. So what? I think the so what crowd is actually allowed to be who they are. I think that if you have one group of people who says, accept us for who we are, you must understand that that applies for everybody, right? So if you expect me to accept you for who you are, then you need to accept me for who I am, right? Because if you don't, then you've gone from the oppressed to becoming the oppressor. And I think that going after Kevin Hart the way that they did really showed a serious lack of class on the part of the people of the Daily Beast. I think that it showed that they have no respect. I think it showed that it showed racism because you made it was a deliberate strategy. You went and got a black man who the first thing he says is, I'm a heterosexual black man, and I think that Kevin is a homophobe. That's all strategic. That's all. That was planned, right? Okay, we can't have a white woman say it. We can't have a gay person say it. We need a black man who's straight to say it, and we just pay the Negro money, and he'll pursue our agenda, so we don't have to do it ourselves. That's the hustle. That's the game. And that's why, I think black-owned media is extremely important. That's why I'm glad LeBron has his show, because it allows for that other point of view. So let's support some black-owned media. Let's get behind that stuff. Darnell says, thank you, Darnell, for your donation. He says, congrats on your engagement. You're a beautiful couple. Thank you. Black love equals black dominance, and I have your back 100% in all endeavors. Well, I appreciate you very much, man. That really means a lot. Thank you so much. And your money will be put to good use. And anybody else who wants to support intelligent black media, feel free to join our League of Intelligent Black People. You can go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. And before I head on out, we actually have a phone number. A lot of you ask about the Black Business School. So we created a call-in number so that you can call if you want to talk to one of our specialists, one of our people to kind of talk about your future. The number here is 773-302-0212. That's 773-302-0212. 773-302-0212. So feel free to call the Black Business School. You can get started for free. I encourage everybody to become an investor, because one thing we know about power is this. I talked about this last night. Freedom of speech is not free. freedom of speech is not guaranteed to everybody in a capitalist society. Freedom of speech basically comes down to the ability to pay your own bills. If you can pay your own bills, you can say whatever you want. If you can't pay your own bills, then you're going to be shut down every time you try to talk. And somebody else's voice is always going to be louder than yours. So for Black people to actually have freedom of speech and to have freedom in general, we need to learn how to pay our own bills. That's going to come down to having individualized, family-based, and collective economic strategies that build long-term economic power that allow us to shape our own narratives, to support our own agendas. That means developing our own systems and becoming the dungeon master, right? Instead of trying to play the game in somebody else's rules, we create the games. So basically, that's what the Black Business School is all about. This is our Felicia the Panther. Felicia's named after my grandmother, Felicia the Panther. That is our logo. And I encourage you guys to go give the Black Business School a try. That's theblackbusinessschool.com, THE, theblackbusinessschool.com. Simone says, congratulations, really appreciate your insight on the Popeyes chicken sandwich video. Thank you for your support. I appreciate that very much. I hope I said it right. I said Simone, and maybe it's Simone, but I appreciate that very, very much. So ultimately, all this, all this stuff, all these conversations come down to money. Think about this. The Daily Beast is funded by millions of dollars that come from that community. So that community says, we need to shape narratives. So we're going to put millions of dollars behind our media outlets and build our media outlets up so that we're able to then go out into the world and push a narrative that is conducive to the goals that we have for ourselves, right? That's going to support us and not support those who we oppose, right? In fact, one of the books that I have my students in the Black Business School read is a book called How the Jews Invented Hollywood. And and I think it's an important book for you to read because it can teach you a blueprint on how Black people can gain our own power. The Jewish community was oppressed in a lot of ways. The Jewish community had no voice in a lot of ways. The Jewish community was misrepresented in a lot of ways. The Jewish community couldn't get jobs. They couldn't get invited to schools that were run by whites. A lot of things, a lot of discrimination they dealt with that I wasn't even aware of. So their power play was an economic play. Their power play was that they built Hollywood up so they could do a few different things. One was to build wealth first and foremost. You build wealth, you can say what you want, do what you want, right? You got resources for your community that are supporting the masses, not just one Jewish guy getting one job. We kind of fell into the Jackie Robinson logic where one Black person being successful somehow made us all feel successful when really that's nothing. That's one person, right? But they built a program for the masses, right? So their plan was one where thousands of Jewish people would get jobs and have opportunities and be able to restore their dignity. The other thing that they did was they wanted to make movies because movies were going to be seen far and wide. If you control media, you get to control conversations, you control narratives about who you are and what other people get to say about you, right? That's why Michael Jackson, y'all remember that? When Michael Jackson used that word and the Jewish community didn't like it, they shut that down fast. Remember that? Right? There's certain words you cannot. Dave Chappelle brought up another word that starts with the letter F. I'm not going to say it, but he was talking about how he can't say that word, or he was told before on other platforms he couldn't say that word. But then he asked that question. He said, "How come I can use the N word with impunity, but I can't use the F word, or I can't use a word that that's derogatory toward the Jewish community? Why? Well, because they can pay their own damn bills. The LGBT community has funded itself the ability to push the narrative. The Jewish community has funded itself the ability to push the narrative. Black people must fund ourselves the ability to push the narrative. What does that mean? Well, here's a starter is you got 1.3 trillion in Black spending power, and you give away about 1.2 or 1.25 of that 1.3 trillion dollars. You give that away. So if we simply have a redirection plan, a long-term redirection plan, where we simply redirect to about 10% of those Black dollars back into the Black community and then circulate that money doesn't just come back. That's $120 billion a year coming into the Black community, which will create hundreds of millionaires and a few billionaires. And if you recirculate it, then that 120 billion becomes about $500 billion, because dollars don't die, they multiply if you keep them in your community, right? So that financial redirection plan is going to be our reparations. That's how we're actually going to we're going to not just level the playing field, but start to dominate certain spaces. Is by sort of understanding this model and understanding why it's important to create business owners in this generation who can offer the services that we traditionally got from white people, and instead we can get them from Black people, which will bring the Black dollars back back into our Black community. So we must redirect our 1.3 trillion, as much of it as possible, and that's going to be our key to building Black wealth, which translates into every other area of life. My brother and I were laughing last night because we were laughing about how a lot of scholars and intellectuals were so offended that this Black dean at the University of Alabama got fired for doing basic shit. I mean, all he did was he tweeted that racism is real. Right. But I mean, he's working at the University of Alabama, the biggest sports slave plantation in the history of the world. I mean, I don't know if they made $1 billion yet off of Black athletes, but they're approaching $1 billion. So they fired him, and they're like, oh, this is not right. This is a violation of his freedom of speech. This is a violation of his liberties and blah, 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 blah. Oh, you're okay. You're giving me that civil rights movement talk that somehow you're going to get rights just because people just want to be nice to you and give you all these rights for nothing. No, they don't give those rights to people who ain't got no power. They don't give those rights to people who ain't got no money. They don't give those rights to people who don't have any infrastructure in their community. They don't give those rights to people who show up begging. So the fact of the matter is that as long as you're begging for jobs and begging for opportunities and begging for resources, you will never have the liberties that are provided to those who have real power. So Black power is the key to this. This all ties in. It all connects. At the end of the day, it all connects. So anyway, I'm out of here, guys. Don't forget, if you want to learn more and get started on your journey and everything else, feel free to go to theblackbusinessschool.com. You can get started for free. Don't believe that narrative about, like, oh, you can only learn from Dr. Boyce if you have money. That's not true. We have free programs, but we also have things that help us pay the bills. Because when we can pay the bills, we can do better work. We can go out here and, like, going to New York is going to cost us well over $20,000. Where's that money going to come from? Do you want us to go beg white people for the money? No, because I'm not going to be able to say what I say, every day to you. Do you want me to go beg a corporation for the money? No, because corporations do not want to be affiliated with Black people who are speaking independently, right? Do you want me to sit around and wait for a government grant while I go work at the post office, full time, so I can pay the bills because Black people want to give money to white people and don't want to, support their own and support what's going on in their own community? No. So what I'm saying to you is, look, if you don't believe in what we're talking about, if you don't believe in me or don't believe in this or whatever, this agenda, this space, then that's fine. But if you believe in it, I'm just saying, like, show us the same amount of economic love that you might show to Popeyes Chicken or Disney or all the white people that you give money to on a regular basis who care nothing about you. Show us a fraction of the economic love that you showed the University of Iowa when you gave them $200,000 of your family wealth so you can get a college degree that got you that $20 an hour job or whatever, right? So that's the point. That's the argument we're making. I hope you guys get it. Somebody said Popeyes is good, though. You ain't right. I can't take a joke, by the way, just so you know. Watching live from Kenya. Okay, all right. Well, tell me, Big O, if you know anybody else in Kenya that's following, because I'd be real curious to know what the response is in parts of Africa to what we do, because I'm admittedly learning about a lot of different parts of the world. We're gonna go to Ghana though next year. Alicia and we're gonna take the kids, so I'll tell you guys about that. So anyway, I'm about to go, guys. Please hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button. Don't forget drboyceseminars.com if you want to learn about these cities. I'll be in Louisville on the 14th, All Black National Convention in Houston on the 27th, and also New York City on October 27th. So drboyceseminars.com and theblackbusinessschool.com is where you can talk to one of our enrollment specialists if you're interested in learning more about the school and what we're doing and how we're building and how great we are. And we're going to be around for the next 500 years. So go ahead and get started. Put your name on that wall so that way 200 years from now, your great-great-grandchildren will know that you were part of the beginning of something special. So anyway, thank you, Stephanie, for your congratulations. I appreciate it. And every now and then, Alicia and I will come in and answer questions about, relationships in life and everything. She's actually a relationship therapist. Or she's a therapist, but she can do relationships. So she actually knows a lot of stuff. She's much smarter than me. When is the next stock class? The master class, it actually still meets every single week. And if you want to join and meet with us each week, feel free to go to drboycemasterclass.com. That's drboycemasterclass.com. Watching from Zimbabwe, RIP Robert Mugabe. Yes, RIP to Mugabe. I think with Mugabe is real fascinating because, you hear a lot of narratives about Mugabe and a lot of things he did, through the years that, there seem to be efforts for him to hold on to power. And I refrain from having a strong, definitive opinion on Mugabe because I feel like I've learned about him through a filter, through a media filter, but I don't want to learn about him or understand him through a pro-black filter either, right? I don't want to believe everything that a leader did is always good, but I don't want to believe everything a leader did was always bad. And what I do believe is that there's an old saying that says, that there's a big difference between being a good king and a good man. That sometimes to be a king, you can't commit to always being a good man, always doing the right thing, because then your enemies will slaughter you. If you look throughout the history of the world, some of the strongest leaders in history who've unified, who've done a lot of great things, had to do some pretty horrible shit. And I'm not saying that this justifies Mugabe's behavior, because I don't know this man. I don't know what ran in his heart. But I'm going to say that, life is more complex than we want it to be. And people won't admit that. But the reality is that sometimes you got to make hard decisions. So I don't know. I'm not gonna justify or vilify. I'm just gonna say RIP. The man had an impact. You can say a lot of things about Mugabe, but you can't say he wasn't powerful. To make it to 95 years old and to reign for that long, he had to be a powerful man. But again, does that make him a good man? I don't know. The more I think about the way the world works, the more I'm actually thinking that being a good man is sometimes it's a little overrated, because that's completely subjective anyway. I think people respect you more if you have power than anything else, and so I say at the beginning, for black people, rather than having, run around like the people from the integration generation, run around trying to get everybody to like you and tell you that you're a good person and that you have the moral high ground. Remember, in the civil rights movement, we had the moral high ground. We were the good people because we had the mantle of victimhood. But what was the cost of that? It meant you had to get busted upside the fucking head with a billy club on TV so people would feel sorry for you. I'm not gonna let nobody make my head bleed just so you can tell me I'm a good person. Fuck you. I know I'm a good person. Now I'm gonna come back with that billy club and fuck you up too. Like seriously, you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. Period. So I kind of think this whole idea of being seen as good is like completely overrated. Like don't worry about your enemies seeing you as a good person. You need your enemies to know that you are there, that you are powerful. And sometimes you got to go in that space and really give zero fucks, because some people only understand power. Your open enemy, the same people who've been oppressing you since 1502, right? they all they know is power. They don't know, like, oh, you're a good person. Oh, that's so nice. Let me just give you some land and some property because you're such a good guy. Yeah, you people are so nice. They don't know that language. They only know power. So there you go. All right, so hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe. Once again, theblackbusinessschool.com. Feel free to check us out. Blagenough.com. That's our social media platform. I promote these things all the time because I want you to remember these things. I hope that you'll help us share and spread and push it all out there. So hit the thumbs up button before you go. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Peace.